Welcome to Explore, Explain, Highlights. In this Highlights package, we'll be looking at Season 3, Episode 6, with our guest, Sam Parsons, discussing the project Rivers of Time.
So the project was built for a tableau competition called the I'm Viz, and that had a topic of Viz what you love, and so I chose Marvel films because all of my family love the Marvel films.
It's also a passion project because it's about what you love. How do you therefore keep in mind as you're going through this process the other end of the equation, the people reading, consuming, interrogating this work at the end? Do you design it for other people, or do you just purely make it something that if it works for me, that's fine, and that'll be a good kind of proxy indicator of how it will succeed with others?
I think there's different ranges in there. In that, first and foremost, I build it for me.
Yeah.
If I'm not enjoying a project, I won't finish it to the end. So this just happens to this topic, Viz what you love, is going to be a topic that you're going to be interested in, and you're going to want to follow that through. I will build this purely for my own sort of fun. I created this piece to be printed out and to be put on my wall.
Right.
That was one of my considerations when I was doing it. It wasn't a consideration thinking, well, it would look good in this format for the judges. It was because I wouldn't mind having something, if it turns out well, to put on my wall of my office. Sure. So I quite pride myself in trying different styles with my work. I don't stick to the one sort of thing that works for me and then I just repeat it. I try different things. I'll try bold colors, I'll try muted colors, I'll try different layouts. For this particular piece, I took inspiration from the visualizations around the time, which was all around COVID, and the FT charts that were coming out from John Byrne Murdoch and those. So I was taking that sort of style from those and that inspiration. What I didn't want to do was, with the Marvel theme, because they're so closely linked to comic books, and you have that association, a lot of Marvel sort of visualization based things are very comic in the way they're displayed. They're big, bold, they have lots of character pictures in them, and it's very sort of standard in the way that people approach that visualization. I didn't want that for this. I wanted to try and get a more editorial sort of viewpoint across, saying, yes, it is Marvel, but it's actually a serious piece of work here, and I want to really sort of dive into this in a serious way. And so I wanted to present it in that way, and I thought, what better than take some inspiration from the FT and those COVID charts. So I took the color from the backgrounds of those charts, I put that into this background. And then I started off going, right, okay, so what colors could I associate with Marvel characters? Reds and blues are the obvious ones from the characters. So your Captain America's, your Iron Man's, and people like that, Spider-Man. So that kind of links. And then I just wanted to not have too many colors. So I tried to reduce the palette down and make it sort of cohesive so it all works together.
So you said that, and it is evident in the style that there's clearly inspiration from the likes of the FT, of the slightly sort of faded salmon pink background, and the sort of it looks to me sort of like 80% black, kind of dark greys in use. Were there any other pieces that you drew inspiration from? And actually, I said both inspiration in terms of both things that you might seek to emulate, but also maybe things to avoid. I mean, you've said already that you want to avoid the standard comic strip or very vivid color approach, but any other visual methods that were out there that you felt, yeah, maybe I could draw from there? Because you do mention inspiration from a couple of people in terms of both the techniques, but also the visuals.
Yeah, so I'm always inspired by a lot of people, lots of visualization designers, not just in the tableau community. So the Nadi Bremers of the world, the piece with the sweeping river of time, that main sort of big visual as part of this, that's very much sort of looking towards her work, and it fans out at one end with the arcing lines coming in from this sort of fan effect. And there's a number of pieces that she does that I've taken inspiration from. I've tried emulating some of her work before. It's the people of that ilk that I look to and go, is there stuff? It's just getting ideas from them,
of course,
and that inspiration and trying to apply it here. That's probably the biggest source of inspiration, is people like her and Valentina, and I'm going to probably ruin her name, but Valentina de Filippo. Those designers really sort of inspire me, and if I can repeat that sort of stuff using Tableau, then I feel that I'm doing well.
Fantastic. But secondly, I think there's something interesting there about what you said about mathematics. Clearly, you know enough to know what to look for. And I think one of the things about data viz skills and the repertoire skills that one needs to be the best at all these things, which very few people can or will be, is you don't really need to have mastery of any of these subjects all the time. It's more just, in my view, a sense of, do I know what to look up? Do I know that what I need to look up now is some geometric calculation of the area of a circle, or some trigonometry? So how do you calculate radials? I mean, radians, you won't use that in more than about 1% of your projects, but it's just having that foraging skills, almost the Googling skills, to know, therefore, what to research.
Absolutely. My background is I did an engineering degree, but I wasn't very good at it. So I never, ever followed it through to the end. I did a product design degree, which was run by the engineering faculty. So we did a lot of modules in that degree around thermodynamics and robotics and things, stuff that I knew enough to scrape by and end up with a degree. I didn't get a high degree, but I think it's that sort of background. I do know a little bit about sort of mathematics and logic and all this stuff that gets me so far, as you say. And I'm also very stubborn in that if I see that other people can do it, and I'm like, well, why can't I? I can do that if I just apply myself, and just not accept that I'm going to be defeated by this. I can get there, and that's kind of how it was hard, but I didn't put the pressure on myself to get to the end point. I have to absolutely submit for this competition. Can I get it done? If I don't meet the deadline and I'm still working on it, I'll still work on it, and it'll just not be part of the competition. But
absolutely,
and
I think a key point there, and it's not a comment about this project, but in any project, in a sense, it doesn't really matter how inelegant the workings are behind the scenes, or the code, or the script, or the solutions. If it works, it works. I just want to sort of focus on that explanatory side, because I think it's a signature style of your work, and something that I really admire of your work, Sam, where you are very careful to talk and walk people through everything, what they're seeing, how to read it, what it all means. And one of the centerpieces of this that does that is the explainer for the time river. And I wondered, do you sometimes do that for yourself as much as anything else, to remind yourself?
It's not to remind myself. I do that. Certainly that center explainer is done for the thought process that I'm going to end up printing this. It's not going to be an interactive thing that I can click on something to bring something up to explain how to do something, or hover on this mark, it'll tell me what it is. When it's printed, all the information needs to be on the screen. So I need to be able to explain what are we looking at in as succinct a way as possible. So that's why I do that. It's not just, and this goes back to the start of the conversation where you asked, am I doing this for me or other people? Certainly these elements are for other people, because I could quite easily just drop that river of time in and I know exactly what's going on there. But for somebody else to pick it up and enjoy it and read it, I need to add these elements in. And I think it's a crucial part.
Thank you for joining us for this Explore, Explain Highlights episode. As always, the full episode is available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. We hope to see you again soon on another episode of Explore, Explain.